Hello, my little wordsmiths. Today, I'm going to take you on an adventure. Yes, today we will go on a magical journey with two brave little children. We will go to the Crystal Cave. This is a very exciting story, and I'm sure you will enjoy listening to this. So let's begin. The Nocte tribe lives in the Reveri, mountainous district of Tirap, in the beautiful state of Arunachal Pradesh. Here is a story of Thenyak and Changun, two brave Nocte children. Nocte is a tribe of people that lives in a Tirap district of Arunachal Pradesh. Arunachal Pradesh, as you know, is a state of India. Taste this, Grandma Kamlong said. She scooped out a ladle full of broth from the pan over the fireplace. It smelt delicious. Grandma blew on the bamboo ladle to cool the broth. Then she poured a little into Thanyak and Changun's open mouths. Yuck! Exclaimed Thanyak. It tastes awful. Don't you like it, do you? Said Grandma with a toothless grin. But watch now. Using the ladle, she scooped up a little salt from the wooden bowl and put it into the broth. She sang a nocte ballad as she stirred. Then she made the children taste the broth once more. Mmm, delicious, Grandma, they said, smacking their lips in approval. Magic, isn't it? Grandma said. The broth was tasteless before, but now it is delicious. What caused this miracle? Salt, the children said in chorus. Grandma placed three reed mats upon the floor as well as dishes of wood and bamboo tumblers. Ladling out steaming rice and broth on plates, she said, That's right. For the nocte, salt is more precious than gold. Our village was rich in past, continued Grandma. We grew millet and paddy in our fields. The jungles gave us shrubs, ferns, and fruits. Our young men went hunting for meat. And most important, we had salt. Changun asked in surprise, Did we make our own salt, Grandma? Yes, we did. A salt spring used to flow by our village. We built shallow troughs and filled them with salt water. The sun dried away the water, leaving grains of salt in the troughs. Now, children, I'll tell you about how salt is made in the later half of this video or probably in another video. Must have been a lot of salt, Thanyak observed. Yes, much more than what our village required. A man stuffed the surplus into hollow bamboo tubes and took it into the plains each winter. They bartered the salt for clothes, beads, and other necessities. Now, what is bartering? In the ancient times, usually like nowadays, whenever we want to buy something, we go to the market, we give money to the shopkeeper, and shopkeeper in the return gives us the goods or whatever thing we want to buy. This is called transaction. Now, earlier transaction used to happen without money. How it used to happen? Now, for example, I have a cow and my cow gives me milk and I want to go and buy rice for my family. So I will take the excess rice, excess milk to the man, to any farmer who has excess rice, and I will give him a liter of milk, and in return he will give me a kilo of rice. So this way he got rice and I got milk, and both our needs were fulfilled. This was called bartering, by exchanging one good in the return of the another good. This is called bartering. Now, for example, if you have two pencils and your friend has two sharpeners, you want to give one pencil to your friend, but in return you want one sharpener from your friend. So this will be called bartering. So but there is no salt spring now, Changun said. Grandma sighed. Our village is poor now. We are no longer self-sufficient. A man walked to Khonsa township to buy salt. Did the salt spring dry up? Thanyak asked. Yes, it happened one winter, years ago. Our source of well dried up with it. Why did it dry up? Persisted Thanyak. No one knows. Tell me, Grandma, he said, if the spring flows again, will it bring prosperity to our village? Certainly, smiled Grandma Camlong. Later in the afternoon, Tenya and Changun went to search the spot where the salt spring had flowed into the river. To their surprise, they had no difficulty. The furrow through which the salt spring had flowed was clearly visible. A furrow is usually a long, narrow ditch which is made into the ground. Only ferns and creepers covered the furrow. They could see it wind up the mountain, a ribbon of light green against the darker green of dense jungles. Thanya cried, "We can follow it upstream." Early next day, after their morning meal, Tenyak and Changun started for their quest. Both had bamboo tubes strapped to their backs to carry drinking water in them. Now they didn't have water bottles, and as they wanted to keep their hands free, so they filled bamboo tubes with water and strapped them to on their back. They were children of the mountains. The steam climb may have exhausted others, but not them. They were not afraid of the jungles either, because they lived close to the nature. They knew that most of these dangers were imaginary. There is no need to be afraid of nature. There's nothing that nobody in the nature wants to harm us. Only if one accidentally disturbed a mild animal, then only it would attack. So far, they had met with only one obstacle, a large python. Python is a large snake, but it just raised its blunt hammer-like head, flickered out its forked tongue, and slid away to a higher branch. So the snake, it looked at the children. He thought, "Oh, okay, these are harmless children," and it just went on its way. So usually animals, they never try to harm us. Animals or insects, they never try to harm us. They just live their own life. And we human beings, we unnecessarily get scared of the animals. But halfway up the mountain, a more serious obstacle came their way. A herd of wild elephants. Wow. Changun said, taking care not to make the least noise, they crawled up a little ahead. They could not see the herd. The grey-black hides of elephants blended too well with the foliage. But the sounds made by the herd as it fed grew louder. Soon it became clear that the elephants had chosen the spot as a feeding ground, and it seemed as if they might stay on for quite a while. There was no question of trying to slip through that herd. Their path upstream was firmly blocked. "What do we do now, Tenyak?" Changun asked. We wait," her brother replied grimly. The children waited. Apart from the sounds made by the feeding elephant, the jungle was silent. The deep hush was broken only twice by the "huku, huku" call of a hulok gibbon and a pangolin scampering through the undergrowth. Now, let me show you a hulok gibbon. See, this is a hulok gibbon. This is a kind of a monkey. It makes hoo, 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 huku, 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 these kinds of sound. And this is a pangolin. It lives in bushes. It was scampering through the bushes. Pangolin. See, it looks like a snake, but it has four legs and it has a scaly shell. So it is something like a armadillo. Like in America, we have armadillo. In India, we have pangolins. They waited patiently for over 2 hours, and then finally they heard heavy bodies crash through the thick foliage. The elephant herd was on the move. See, this is the elephant herd, and both the brothers and sister are waiting for them to go. They climbed for an hour, and all of a sudden stumbled into a clearing. Hundreds of hoof marks were visible on the ground. There were also some pug marks of wild cats and imprints of elephant feet. Changun cried out, "It's a natural salt lake." Wild animals came to lick the earth for salt. This took care of the salt requirement of their bodies. Now, like we human beings like to eat salt, even animals need salt because the minerals in the salt, like sodium and chlorine and everything, these minerals, they are necessary not just for humans but even animals need them. So animals go to the places wherever there is salt on the floor and try to lick them. The salt spring furrow ran through the center of the clearing for some distance and then disappeared into a hollow. Tenyak and Changun raced towards the hollow. As they had guessed, it was a cave. The sunlight lit up the interior at the cave's mouth. The walls of the tunnel-like cave were coated with white crystals. Heaps of crystals rose like molehills from the floor and dangled like wasp nests from the ceiling. The pure white crystalline heaps glittered in the slanting rays of the afternoon sun. Thanyak bent down and picked up a pinch of the crystals, put it to the tip of his tongue. "It's salt!" So this whole cave was filled with salt. They were on the ground, they were on the walls, they were on the ceiling. Salt, salt, salt. Everywhere it was so much salt. He whispered in wonder, as if unable to believe his tongue. Soon he began to hop about wildly in imitation of a tribal war dance. whooping and shrieking in Gearbend. And now what happens is that whenever tribal people they get happy, they do a tribal dance and they make sounds like and shrieking sounds. So that is what Tenyak was doing because he was very happy. We found salt! We found salt! We have found salt! That is what he started to cry. Changun also crooned. Croon means he started to sing. There's enough salt in this cave to last our village 1,000 years. That tunnel-like cave is a natural salt mine. The spring flowed through it, carrying some of the salt away, said Changun. The sun was already halfway down its journey across the horizon. So the children knew they must hurry back to their village. Though they wanted to locate the salt spring, they knew this was not the right time. They were very sensible. Instead of wasting time, so they knew that the sun is going down and we should go back to the home and we will try to find the salt spring some other time. They drank the water in the bamboo tubes. Then they placed the tubes upside down on the ground to dry them completely. After the tubes were dried, they packed the tubes with salt. Then, carrying the treasure upon their backs, they began the descent home. They started to go down the mountain to go back home. The villagers had meanwhile begun worrying. When they saw the two children descend, the crowd broke out into loud cheers. The children ran excitedly to Grandma Camlong and they shouted, "We have found a cave of salt! Our village will be prosperous again!" Unstrapping the bamboo tubes, they poured the salt onto the earth. The heaps glowed into the light of setting sun. Grandma laughed happily. "Well done, children," the chief said. "Your courage deserves to be rewarded. You too will be the chief guest during the Loku festival." Bringing Tanyak up, the chief placed him on his shoulders. Changun's father picked her up and placed her on his shoulder. Grandma Camlong broke out into a nocte ballad for courage. The villagers sang along and began a grand celebration. So, this is the story written by Arup Kumar Datta. Now, quickly, let me tell you about the process of salt or how salt is made. So, salt is made up of sodium and chlorine. Okay, its chemical formula is NaCl. Na is for sodium and chlorine is for chlorine. Cl is for chlorine. It was formed inside stars due to chemical reactions. Billions of years ago, when some stars exploded and our planet Earth was formed, the salt remained in the rocks and in the seas. We get salt from seawater by letting the water evaporate. Now, when we come from Ahmedabad to Gandhidham, whenever we come or whenever we are driving to Ahmedabad, we can see that near that Surajbari, we can see white mountains. Those mountains are nothing but heaps and mountains of salt. What happens is that the seawater, when it evaporates, when it dries, then the salt in the water, it remains on the ground and it is refined and it consumed by us. It is also found in caves and underground caverns. Various methods of mining are used to get this kind of salt called rock salt. Salt is used in cooking and seasoning. Every food dish that we make usually requires salt to give it a taste. It helps to bind the taste. Like how Tanyak and Changun didn't like the broth before when there was no salt. Similarly, if I give you dal or if I give you sabzi without salt in it, then you will find it to be very bland and not very tasty. But if you put salt in it, it binds the taste together and you enjoy the spiciness or tanginess of the food. It is also used in medicines, in making glass, paper soap, and detergents. In some countries, where there it snows, or even in India, in the Jammu and Kashmir and in Nagaland or Arunachal Pradesh, where there snow is there, it is used on highways to melt ice in snowy season. For example, it is also used for preservation. For example, it was used to preserve mummies for thousands of years. All domestic and wild animals need salt, along with us humans. Deer, cows, sheep frequent places with natural mineral deposit known as salt lakes. Like we saw in the story also, there were animals near a salt lake where they ingest essential sodium and chloride minerals to survive. Even in language, words and phrases like salary, salad, take with a grain of salt, worth their salt, the salt of the earth, they have their origin in salt. Now, salary means the amount any worker gets at the end of the month for his work. It comes from the word salt because earlier workers used to be paid in salt. And take with a grain of salt, that means if you do not like hearing something, then you simply hear it with a grain of salt, like you try to uh, process the information without reacting to it. Okay, so That's it. I hope you enjoyed this story and this nice adventure with Tenyak and Changun. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye bye.